be creating videos of each of the quests you can do. Each quest is its own separate instance, but before that, this is the character I will be playing. But let's look at the character creation screen for a bit so I can tell you what choices I made and how I made them. First, you have your play style. Melee characters engage in up-close, hand-to-hand combat. Spellcasters harness the power of magic to assist allies or attack their enemies from a distance. Specialists can excel in scouting, ranged combat, trap disarming, and more. Iconic are pretty much the VIP access ones. You choose this style to begin as a high-level character with custom gear, abilities, and a tale to tell. I've never actually played one of these. Typically, I choose Specialist. In the melee category is the Fighter class, which is said to be the easiest one to play because it has pretty much all the weapons, shields, heaviest armors. They train in many more combat abilities than other classes. I've also played Barbarian, which is a bit to get used to when compared to Fighter, because you have to have the rage and stuff. But they're pretty good with mitigation without using the heaviest of armors. I've also played Ranger, which I didn't really like much. Not much of a specialist, all it does is ping things within bow and arrow and scout, which rogues can do. I've also dabbled in Cleric and Wizard, but haven't played them much. With Wizard, you have to collect all these spell scrolls and then use them to learn spells, which is interesting, I guess. This is the class I pick. They use stealth and a variety of masterful techniques to disarm traps, unlock doors, and take down enemies with devastating sneak attacks. I rarely use sneak attacks, because I rarely sneak around, but I do train the ability to do so. Mainly I focus on finding and opening hidden doors, unlocking locked doors and chests, and disarming after finding traps. These three are pretty much worthless according to all the information you can find online. I guess they're good for if you're completely new to the game and have no idea what stats are, but usually you'd want to go to customize. Some of these races here were unlocked via purchases online. Obviously these need to be unlocked. I am playing as a halfling at the moment. The reason is because they start with higher dexterity and they do not take any penalties to intelligence, which are the main two stats I use. I also use a playstyle that does not require any strength, so taking a hit to that is unimportant. The button I just pressed said look, but first you go into ability points. If you see here, 32-point build, that's something I purchased. Most free players start with 28 points. Unless you've unlocked Dark Elf, which starts with 32 automatically and do not get the champion points. Dexterity provides extra protection, its armor class rating, as well as a bunch of skills. Dexterity, intelligence, and wisdom are important for many of the rogue skills. A high intelligence score also gives the rogue extra skill points, which can be used to expand her repertoire. So I tend to choose as many intelligence points as required to train all the skills I want to train. Bring up Constitution to at least 12. I usually go with 16 or 18 Dexterity. This time it's 18 because 20 is the max. $44, yep. That's exactly the right amount. So that's 16 intelligence, 14 constitution, and 20 dexterity that I tend to start with. At least with this class and race choice. After that, you've got these. Balance. Disable device. If you don't put at least 1 point into that, you don't have the ability to disable devices at all. That's why I said NA before. Hide. Jump. Listen. Move silently. Oh, and what these do is balance. If you're in a situation where a lot of characters would fall down and not be able to attack for a while, balance, the higher the skill, the less likely you are to fall down. Disable device is where you disable traps and things. Haggle, shop prices go down and you get more when selling. Hide is your ability to sneak past monsters, avoiding their sight. Jump allows you to jump higher. Listen allows you to hear enemies that are trying to move silently, as well as subtle noises which others may not hear. Move silently allows you to sneak past monsters, avoiding their hearing. Open lock, see the NA? You wouldn't have the skill at all if you didn't put at least 1 point into it. And all it basically does is allow you to lockpick locked doors. Search allows you to find things that are hidden. Spot is where you get the sense that something is hidden. If you notice, the spot is lower than the search, which means that if you spot something, you can probably find it if you search for it, but you might be able to find things that you don't spot. Swim allows you to swim faster and hold your breath for a longer period of time when underwater. Eventually, I like to have underwater action items, which allows you to breathe underwater passively. Tumble was another NA one. It allows you to tumble and roll away from attacking enemies. I don't tend to use that, but it also reduces the damage you take from falling, which I do use, although I do tend to try to get a passive feather falling item as soon as possible, so it might not be as important as I make it seem. A lot of these other ones can be useful. The ones that are square icons like these, they're actively used. You have to actually press an item number key to use them. The ones that are hexagonal shaped like these are passive. They're always on. Intimidate isn't really useful for rogues because you want to avoid notice most of the time, and intimidating will be the opposite of that. Diplomacy and bluff can be useful. Repair is only really useful if you or one of the companions you plan to have along are of the mechanical variety. Use magic device if you want to use wands and things. This would be useful because it allows you to do that. Concentration is not really a rogue skill. Concentration, performance, spellcraft are for other classes. Like concentration is spellcraft are spell aligned. Spellcraft improves your spell damage with all spells except for positive energy, negative energy, sonic repair, and rust spells, which are instead affected by the heal, perform, and repair spells. Concentration allows you a chance to continue casting a spell when you would normally be interrupted by taking damage. In other words, only get these if you have a character that casts spells of any kind. Perform allows you to use and improve your musical ability to inspire and fascinate others. This is a bard's skill, so only get it if you're a bard. Or are using bard spells, I guess. Heal allows you to use healing kit to revive unconscious and bleeding companions to 1 hit point. This is basically the non-mechanical version of repair. If you notice a little star next to it, that means will only increase by half a point for every point you spend, which is the main reason why I'm not putting points into heal. That and the fact that I plan to play solo. But still. The game is more interesting with a companion, but I don't have any friends to play with. These are the feats that you choose. I chose Dodge for my first feat, but Die Hard's also a good one. Alertness. A lot of these are actually good. The Dragon Mark is different based on the race you choose, not the class. The Bloodline of House Jarasco bestows on you a +2 bonus to your heal skill. Activate this ability to cast Cure Light Runes 3 times per rest. I have no plans to get Dragon Mark. I've, in the past, chosen Luck of Heroes, because it provides a bonus to all saves. Proficiencies is different weapons. The one I plan to use is already unlocked. I've also chosen Toughness in the past, which basically gives additional hit points. I've chosen 2-weapon fighting, but that was before the current way to do things enhancements is concerned. No, this time I chose dodge. After that, you get a look at the things you chose and things you start with. If you look here, Constitution 14 plus 2, it doesn't actually tell you your hit points. It says 8. But you start with more than that. You start with a lot more than that. This is where you choose how your character looks, your name, your surname. Only your name is important, because your surname is not included when they try to check for whether or not somebody has already chosen that name. I chose true neutral, because if you choose lawful, good, or chaotic, then that limits the weapons you can use, because if you have a chaotic based weapon and you're lawful, for example, you receive negative levels. Same thing with good with an evil weapon, or lawful with a chaotic weapon, or chaotic with a lawful weapon. So I chose true neutral just to keep my ability to use weapons unhindered. And now we're logging into the server so I can show you some other things. The number you probably are seeing in the upper left-hand corner is my current FPS. Loading screens have the least FPS. Let's hope it loads anytime now. Here we are. These are my current stats at level 5. I've increased my dexterity at least once, and I've also increased it a few times with enhancements and equipment. As you can see, strength is still 6. Dexterity is 21, which is a +5 modifier, which is good to know because if you look at the armor, max dex bonus 8. That's the +5 modifier, so if that was +9, I'd start taking an armor check penalty. Or an armor penalty. And Constitution's 15. Intelligence is 18, which is a +4 modifier. Wisdom is 9. I guess I put a point in there and didn't remember. Or items and effects. Means that I have something on here that does it. And Charisma is still 8. I have 16 action points. There's no icon here, so I've already spent them all. Armor class is 23, which is 10 base plus 5 dexterity bonus with a max bonus of 8, plus 6 armor bonus, plus 1 deflection bonus, plus 1 size bonus, equals 23 total. Dodge chance is 8% to dodge, and defense chance at level is 51% chance. I've got plus 6 fortitude, plus 12 reflex, and plus 3 will saves, with a plus 3 base attack bonus. Spell resistance is 4, and these are the elemental resistances. I've got 6 physical resistance and 3 magical resistance, which are item based. The total modifier is basically how good you are in a given skill. I've got 19 balance, which is a dexterity ability, 16 disable device, which is intelligence, 7 haggle, which is charisma, 17 hide, which is dexterity, 11 jump, which is strength, 12 listen, which is wisdom, 15 move silently, which is dexterity. As you can see, most of these are dexterity or intelligence. Like 2 are strength, I think, and 1 is charisma. Of the ones that I chose, anyway. So the only one that seems to be the poor man out, as far as stats are concerned, is the wisdom. So far, I've chosen dodge and evasion, which evasion requires to have first chosen dodge, which basically increases the likelihood of not being hit and not taking damage. Mobility increases the maximum dexterity bonus permitted by armor, and adds a +4 bonus to armor class when tumbling. You also gain a +2 dodge bonus. Automatically got uncanny dodge. I don't have any spells. These are the enhancements I've chosen. Acrobat staff training, +1 to hit and +2 damage with quarterstaves. +1 to hit, +2 damage with quarterstaves. While wearing light to cloth armor, you run 1% faster for each of your rogue levels. If you look at this, it looks like I'm wearing medium armor, right? I mean, it's chain, but it's actually light armor. It says it here. +2 hardy, 1 chainmail, short of sonic guard, 1 light armor. Shadow dodge, +1% dodge, +1 dexterity, +1 to the maximum dexterity bonus for light armor. You can also use your dexterity modifier to hit with quarterstaves. Until I took this, that was strength. Now it's dexterity. You can now use your dexterity modifier for damage with quarterstaves. That was also strength originally, but now it's dexterity. -40% threat generation with melee attacks. This is only useful if you have somebody with you to actually take that threat. If you're the only person there hitting something, they will threat you. And thief acrobatics, which is +3 balance, jump, and tumble, +50% attack speed with quarterstaves, meaning you hit things faster. I honestly don't see the point of crafting. But I am wearing armor that is minimum level 3, gives armor bonus with dexterity is +14, sonic guard when you're hit or missed in combat. This item has a chance to deal sonic damage, which is increased damage. This also has a constitution +1 passive bonus, which is where the extra point of constitution came in. Troubleshooter's goggles, you get this in Korthos. Spot, search, and listen are all +3. This helmet gives sheltering +3, which is a +3 enhancement bonus to physical and magical resistance ratings, and a resistance +1, which improves fortitude, reflex, and will saving throws. Dexterity and resistance +1. Resistance is the saving throws. Wisdom +1. Spell resistance +4. Feather falling. Dodge +2%, balance +3. Diplomacy +2, protection +1. Disable device +4. Dodge +1% to Sonic Guard. I don't know if Sonic Guard actually stacks, but I got this because it was Dodge +1. Electricity absorption +14 and poison resistance +12. I don't know the difference between the two, but it just means that these things do less damage to me. Spell saves +1 is a +1 resistance bonus to saves versus spells. I'm currently using a quarterstaff of deadly 2. Dexterity to hit and dexterity to damage are from my enhancements I showed you earlier. Armor piercing +3 is a +3 enhancement bonus to bypass enemy fortification, +2 enhancement bonus. It gains a +2 enhancement bonus to attack and damage, and deadly +2 is a competence bonus to weapon damage. My secondary weapon is the Anarchic 1 Heavy Crossbow of Tendon Slice 2. Anarchic 1 is, this weapon is chaotic and used to undermine the righteous, dealing an additional chaos damage on each hit. This effect makes the weapon chaotic aligned, and like I was saying earlier, lawful characters wielding this weapon will suffer 1 negative level. +2 enhancement bonus like the staff, and tendon slice +2. On hit, 6% chance to slow target's movement by 50% for 2 seconds. So if the tendon slice goes through, I hit and then I retreat, it takes them longer to get to me. That's assuming as a melee range. If I was at range, it'd take them longer to get to me in the first place. I tend to use the quarterstaff. I only use this if I need to hit something I can't physically get to, or if I'm fighting slimes, which do damage to armor when they hit you and weapons when you hit them. More damage than usual. Here is the amount of money I have on me at the moment. I've actually got, what, 11,000 in the bank? Just earned from this character. This is my hireling, the one that I'm currently using as a favored soul. You probably saw in other videos, or will, depending on where I put this video, that I tend to use a hireling. I haven't actually chosen which hireling I prefer. I would like to use paladin just to see how they turn out, because they're a cross between a fighter, which is strength based, and a cleric, which heals. I don't know if that means a paladin is strength based, because I've never actually played one, but still I'd like to try it. But it's not available in the hirelings 4 to 7 level, so it'll be a while before I try it. I will be using cleric next. And that's it.